And finally, for today's program, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, learn about the steps Adventist pioneers took to make the church an official denomination.
During much of this week in 1861, on the dates April 26 through 29, Seventh-day Adventist leaders met in Battle Creek, Michigan, where just 7 months earlier in 1860 they had adopted the name Seventh-day Adventist. And at that time they also agreed that the printing press operated by James White should be incorporated. It took time, however, to pass the legal hurdles required by Michigan state law, and the April 1861 meeting was chiefly to complete incorporation of what became the Seventh-day Adventist Publishing Association. But some church leaders took the chance to press for additional reforms to the very embryonic organization of the nascent movement. Key figures were J.H. Wagoner, Joseph Bates, James White, J.B. Frisbee, J.N. Loughborough, M.E. Cornell, and John Byington. And a few weeks later, they published in the church paper, the Review and Herald, a co-authored summary of recommendations for all local congregations of Seventh-day Adventists. They proposed first a more thorough organization of local churches so that all would have at least one elder, one deacon, and a church clerk. Second, they proposed formal organization of what they called state or district conferences, made up of multiple local churches, with the conferences to authorize and license Seventh-day Adventist ministers. And third, they urged the holding of what they called general conferences that would represent the will of all the various local churches and state conferences. They also recommended that all local churches keep written records of their business transactions and membership lists and issue letters of fellowship in the transfer of members from one church to another. Now, many Seventh-day Adventists were still too wary of organization to accept these proposals at the time, but they were an important stepping stone to the organization of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists a little more than 2 years later in May 1863. And the basic principles have guided the denomination ever since. That was this week in Adventist history.